I'm very happy to have you here, and I suggest that we start with the introduction of yourself. So, can you please tell us about what you're doing, what kind of services you're offering?
Mm, well, I feel like I'm walking two parallel paths at the same time. So, one, I'm with my academic background. I like fate guided me in a way, and I became a debt advisor. So I help hundreds of people every year in financial crisis. And from the beginning, you might think it's very square kind of profession where you just talk about numbers because this is a government job. But what happens in every conversation is that these people have to deal with their own shame and deal with their own disappointment of life and themselves. So it's a journey on forgiveness. And when they see that I don't judge them, they find more strength to not judge themselves. So it is a very spiritual place to be in this field, and it's very, very beautiful. And at the same time, through this profession, I've been on national radio and TV talking about money and debt. Normally in Sweden, what we will hear is like, don't buy a coffee when you're outdoors. Don't buy this and think about your cost. And it's like very pushing us to be a good girl kind of behavior instead of asking, so what are your values? What do you want? And it's okay to make mistakes and continue and grow in your financial life. We don't hear that in the mainstream. So I really got an opportunity to bring in forgiveness and growth into mainstream media, which is beautiful. And since this just came to me, I didn't ask for it, it just came to me. I feel like I have to take care of this path and also build something around that to bring in, because what is spirituality and what do we see in every religion? It's love and forgiveness. So how can I bring in this in a non-spiritual context to people that actually desire it without knowing it really? So that's one path that I'm walking now, and it's beautiful and exciting, but I don't have the capacity to be my fullest expression there. I can't talk about energies in a way that I can do with you here in this podcast, right? And it's very important for me to be who I am. One of my mantras that I love is what would it take for me getting paid being me? And it's not in this space. Even though I appreciate it and I love it and I see the value in it, I'm not 100% me. So my other parallel path is, it actually comes from me teaching about intuition a few years ago. So what is intuition? How do we find it? And how do we use it in our growth? But I got bored. It wasn't enough. And I start to ask myself, how can I build a business that is truly an expression of me? And by trial and error, I came up with this concept that I have together with a friend, where we are having community-based membership online for women that wants also to get paid being themselves, having their own self-expression while they contribute to the world, while they're making money. So it's a beautiful circle of self-growth and freedom, really. So that's my true self, where I get to be all of me and contribute in all the ways I can, really, to these women that are afraid to stand out, afraid to use their voice, but really have gifts and passions that are valuable for people when they receive it. So in this context, that's how we met, right? When I was talking about this community. So there we do teach about intuition, and we help people heal their relationship to money, which is a big passion of mine, thinking about also the experience I have from the debt advising. And real, very practical business strategy. What is that even, and how can we learn to develop those thoughts and understandings? So that's what I would say my two big passions right now in the world.
Interesting. But why did you choose to run this community against women? on the women? Because you're limited.
Yeah, it is towards women only. And it started off with me learning about business in an area male dominated, where even though I was surprised how these particular men, they were very empathic, very kind, and had a lot of support for everyone, regardless of ethnicity or gender and all of these things. But I couldn't be myself truly because I have wounding when it comes to the relationship to men. And I couldn't be myself fully because I have the spiritual language. And I was like, okay, I can share these words and they will accept me, but they won't understand me. And I can also choose to not use these words and diminish myself and my expression. So, and I knew I wasn't alone with this. I knew there was women around me that wouldn't even go to these groups of people because they feel like they don't belong. So it was important for me to create this container that is only for women. And it doesn't matter if you have your spirituality towards a religion or not. You're welcome as you are. It doesn't matter if you're passionate about astrology, human design, Reiki, or something else. You come and pick and choose and be you. So that's really the field that I was missing. So that's what I created it.
Good. And when it comes to courses which you are offering, is it so that you are working alone or together with your friend, or do you have the team?
What do you mean with a team?
More people working with that?
Okay, yeah, well, so what we didn't know when we started this was how it was going to unfold. So it started with me and my dear friend Anna Barkfelt, she has amazing business experience. So we are a perfect combination in our expertise, right? But so I'm really not sure how to where to start to share this story because we connected through a spiritual path, which included learning from the animals and nature, which I can share more about later. But that's how we connected. So we have one strong core in our business creation is the spiritual teachings from this place, and horses are a big part of this thing. And so at one point, so animal communication is a part of my life, right? So at one point, one of Anna's horses shared that she wants to come in and support us in how we're building our community. Because when horses live in the wild, they are a herd. And what requires for the herd to survive is that each individual knows who they are so they can execute their gift when it's necessary. They have to be aware of each other at the same time, sharing the collective consciousness. And this is something then that we, as humans, we're not so good at. We have the hierarchy and we're competitive and we're using the elbows and we're not seeing everyone's gift. We have a tendency to be like, oh, but this is me and I learned so much and let me share. But like, okay, but we are many and together we are stronger. So the horses are offering us teachings so that we can learn from this. And this horse, her name is Matriarca, which is very interesting since we are thinking about the women. And Matriarca's journey started in Portugal, where she lived a very hard life. And then she came to Anna and she got to be herself and live for her own reason, not to be for someone else's to use, really. So she stepped in and she shared that she wants to help us, help the women connect with their essence. And how she describes this, because we're like, okay, but what is the essence? It's a beautiful word, but what is it? And she says how we understand it, right? We are limited in our capacity to understand, but how we understand it is that when you connect with the essence, it's not really what it is, but when you connect with it, it will grow and it will unfold like a force of nature and it can't be stopped. And for me, when I hear this, I just feel like so much freedom and expansion in that expression. So we don't really know how she supports and what she does, but she's there holding space. And sometimes we tend to her and ask her questions, and with her guidance, we do our best to hold space for the women and also create opportunities for the women to connect with the horse themselves, because that's also a beautiful thing. And another part of our team that is very recent, that is also, so this was a space for spiritual women to be themselves. And we didn't know that our own spirituality would expand and take up more space as it has. So now we have an elder woman. Her name is Solveig. Her passion in life is communication with the ancestors and our deceased family. And by chance, truly, everything is just beautifully unfolding. By chance, Anna connected with the Solveig and got beautiful help from one of her ancestors called Alexius. And so we were talking about this and recalled that this spiritual past that we share with these horses, this is getting, I would need a whiteboard page to kind of like map out all these things, because the human woman facilitating this experience for us to connect with the animals, she has been traveling all over the world to learn. And one big part of her journey takes her to Jordan in the Middle East. And there they have, in the space where she is connected to, every Thursday, they have a meeting with their ancestors, asking for help and guidance in how to take care of the land and the humans and the animals. So we felt inspired from that. And after Anna's beautiful connection with Solveig, we thought, but what if we can have something similar and invite our ancestors to our community and see how that will unfold? Because obviously they have perspectives from the past and the future that we don't, because they're in another dimension. So yeah, that's our team. And as we start to make more money, obviously we will bring in more humans that we can pay. So yeah, we'll see how it all unfolds. But it's the most exciting and beautiful thing I've ever done. And right now it's only in Swedish, but we also know that we will transition into English and make this a global brand. But within a few years, it's very important that we don't rush this project.
When did you start?
In June 2023, yeah.
Okay. So that was my next question. What is your plans for growing your business, and what do you see? Will you offer more courses? Because right now you have only course about it's called money. It's about money, right?
Yeah, so
Manifestation.
heal your relationship to money, which if we talk about manifestation and we say, yeah, I want to manifest more money, and we mantra, I'm rich, 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 I'm rich. We have so many subconscious programmings that are stopping this mantra to become reality, because we have a history of power abuse, and that money is the root of all evil, and we have all these different things that we've heard and seen and felt throughout our generations, and why money is bad. We have blamed the money, not blamed the humans. We have blamed the tool. But the opportunity we have now is to heal our relationship to this tool so it can become neutral. And then it's way more easier to manifest that. So a lot of spiritual teachers will tell you to, well, don't focus about the money. Focus on the house, because you want the money to buy the house or the car or whatever you want. They say focus on the outcome, because they know that we have so much limiting beliefs and woundings around money. But what I've seen through my work is, when we heal the relationship to money, I'm not finished, I'm on a journey, but the more I heal, the better I feel in so many ways. It helps me with my expression of myself, that it's okay for me to take up space, it's okay for me to use my voice. And not only that it's okay, but that I actually value myself and my voice. And that is a result of working with this relationship to money. So that's a course we offer in Swedish. And then we have the community, which is a membership where you get access to the course as well. And we're building a course regarding intuition. And maybe that will be finished to be released during the fall. We'll see. And we do take in a few premium clients that work very close to us to really up-level themselves and their business and launch a new offer, and getting help to price it and sell it and communicate it. So it's that's where we are right now. And And I mean, we had a vision when we started, but we'd never thought a horse would enter, and we never thought our ancestors would enter. So we're humbling down in our own perception of what's possible and really continuing to ask ourselves, how can we contribute to the women that are coming to us with their trust, their time, and their money? How can we create a space that is truly for them to also connect with each other? Because one thing in a spiritual journey is many people feel lonely. And we need the connection to build more trust within ourselves, to trust our spiritual gifts, to have people that believe in you and that can inspire you. And all of these things, like the community is everything. So it's not only about what you learn, but it's also with what people can you connect with.
I can say honestly that this is for the first time I hear that somebody is communicating with the horses. So can you please tell us in practical way how exactly you are doing that?
Then I want to start off with a book recommendation. So there is this beautiful, beautiful book called All the King's Horses. Mm-hmm. And there, my mentor, Emily Kajsdotter, is the author of that book. And she has been communicating with animals for a very, very long time and traveled the world exploring other ways of being human in this, in relationship to animals and the nature. And so she has 2 other books as well. One, I still haven't read it. I'm saving it for vacation. And then another one called Sander and the Time. But All the King's Horses is the most beautiful book I've ever read. And what you receive from that is not only about the animal communication and how it works. It's about so many miracles of life and so many experiences of life that if you are curious about animal communication, that is a must read. And many people say that it's a very abstract book. It's so much. So you can just take 1 page at a time. And if it takes years, it's still worth it. But so obviously, when she started out with this, 95 or something like that, it was very uncommon. And people didn't react curiously towards her, but more like, oof, well, this is weird. So she stayed away for humans as much as she could in Sweden. She was more welcomed in other countries. And but then 2018, the animals told her, because, okay, so when do someone call for animal communicator? It's when you have no other choice. So it's like, I can't make this work with my animal, so I will have to kill it or have another solution. And that's when they find Emily. And throughout the years then, she has invited animals to her space that or else would have died because they don't fit in human norms of society. So 2018, this was maybe 165 different animals of all species. Horses, ducks, cows, goats, dogs, cats. It was so many different animals. And they got the chance to heal from their the traumas that they've been through. And at one point, 2018, they told Emily, okay, thank you. We got to this place and we got a chance to heal. We got a chance to live for our own sake. Now it's time for humans to come and have the same experience. And I was like, I'm not really sure humans want this. But she opened the door and that's how I entered there. I was actually searching for a yoga teacher training. I felt a spiritual thirst for something, but I didn't find a fit. And then just by chance, I heard about this place and I felt in my whole being, I have to go. I have to go. I have to go. I have to go. And so I contact her and tell her my story, and she welcomed me to her school. And it's a dedication of 2 years to begin with. And our first exercise, I think, is a beautiful one that anyone can start off with at home. And it's not easy. And the one thing we have to let go of is the desire to be right, the desire to do it right. We have to really surrender to the moment. And we received a blindfold to put around our eyes so we wouldn't see what horse was in front of us. Because as soon as the human will look at something, we will create associations and judgments and values around what we see. And we create stories around that. Oh, this kind of shirt, she must be this and this kind of person. Or 2 different socks, she must be this and kind of person. But we got the blindfolds. And then someone else would come with the horse and hold it so we would feel safe. And then I would ask myself, this was the exercise, I would ask myself, who are you? And then just be with the nothingness, with my own thoughts, with the subtle something that I would experience. And then after a while, I would ask, who am I? And then I would continue to just experience my own reactions to the question. And then I would continue, who are you? And then alternate between these two until I realize that there is a difference in the response that I'm receiving when it's someone else and when it's me. Because with animal communication, we always have our own filter in all kind of channeling, truly. Doesn't matter what kind of source that is coming through you, it's coming through you and your experiences and your words and your beliefs. And yeah, well, so I was doing these exercises, and then we got to do it with another horse. And then again, you have the opportunity to sense a difference. Wow, when I asked, who are you? With this horse, it was one sensation. And when I asked, who are you? With another horse, it was a different sensation. So it's truly the practice of picking up the sensations in my body, or maybe the visuals that I would receive an image, an association. Like if I say now pink elephant, pink elephant, pink elephant, everyone will in some way sense a pink elephant. So it's a practice of the subtle sensations and staying with them. It's so easy to, let's say, ask an animal, so what is your story? Where do you come from? And you get an image or a sensation of a red house. And immediately the human will be like, oh, a red house. He lived in a red house. But no, ask yourself, okay, wait, what does this house represent? Is there a story to this house? To continue to ask questions, to not be in a rush to make a quick conclusion. That is our biggest mistake as humans. Also, I see so many young women learning how to channel, and there are no elder women really to guide them in this. We have ourselves and our practice, but we are too quick in our conclusions. I give someone a reading and I immediately want to be right. I want you to understand what I'm saying. I want the confirmations. But the practice is to let go of that desire. And then we have the opportunity to experience more. So, and what I've seen is that we tend to be strong in our psychic channel depending on our creativity. So people that worked a lot with the body, massage therapists and chiropractors and other kind of physical dancers and people who have worked with their body, they have a tendency to understand animals through their body. They will feel the anxiety, they will feel the trauma, they will feel the joy, they will feel the story. While someone who has been painting and drawing or taking photographies, they will see the images, they will see the stories, and so on. So there are different ways to perceive the animals and nature, but it's truly a practice of patience and ego death and surrendering. And yeah, I could talk about this for days, obviously.
I understand. When it comes to your community, is it so that you're running only online events or you're meeting people who are in your community?
So for now, we're having a physical retreat in April. And my dear friend Anna that I'm having this with, she lives on a farm. So she has the facilities for people to live and to eat and to do yoga and all of these things. So we're holding retreats at her place outside of Stockholm. And the different themes of these retreats depends on what our team suggests. But so now the suggestion was to connect with my essence and take up space. And that you can do regardless if you want to have a company or not. So anyone who has a connection to us that wants to participate are welcome, even if you're not a community member. And that's very beautiful. And then probably in June we will have one that is more business oriented, and then we will alternate, because the principles that the horses are offering is generosity. Everyone is included. So we have to have our niche to attract the people and create the community, but we can't be too excluding. I know we have the gender thing going on here with only women, but we will see what happens over time. But and also actually Matriarcha, she showed a very, very, very strong image that changed so much for me personally. Because as a Swede, I grew up with all these topics about equality. And I've been bored with it. Like, yeah, whatever, I'm fine.
Yeah.
Don't talk about it with me. Like, yeah, some men are assholes, but a lot of men are great. My brothers are amazing. My sons are amazing. Like, don't make it a big deal. But what Matriarcha showed me was in meditation, these contrasts of black and white, day and night. And she continued with contrast, 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 contrast for a long time. And I was like, where is this going? And then all of a sudden she showed me patriarchy as one side. And she was very firm that we have no idea what the opposite is. Because we come from a history of so much violence towards women, so much non-respect, non-understanding. Like our entire society is built around the man's cycle of 24 hours, while the woman has a cycle of a month. We are completely different. So even the strongest woman you see, you have no idea who she would be if she came from 2 generations of respecting, loving, and honoring the woman. We have never seen her. And when I got that to me, I was like, oh my God, I'm having an existential crisis. I was so like, and I come back to this image again and again, and I'm like, yeah. And I think about my mother and my grandmother, and my dad is from Iraq, and my grandmother on his side is from Iran, and she lived in Iraq. And I see all these stories that I come from and that I live through and that I've been healing, but I will not be finished in this lifetime. And it really makes me sad on many levels that this is the reality. I'm having a wake-up call. This is the reality. And then maybe it's okay also then that we focus on the women, because we're so behind, and it's so needed, because we need the woman's love and empathy and strength to heal what's been going on for too long time now. So I think that's what we have to be with Matriarcha, to learn to connect with the essence, to learn to grow and take up space, because we have to change the world. We don't have much time. So that's my personal crisis. That motivates me a lot.
Okay, so your community, first of all, is online, but do you see the need of building physical communities? I mean, like people gathering together, living together, help each other, and so on the global level. Is it the future?
I think that's where we're heading. I think that's where we're heading, but I don't think I will participate in building that community. I do have a vision for my future as an older woman. I've had this vision with me since I was a child, and I see myself having facilitated this space for healing. And people can come and heal themselves, and people can come and heal to get both animals and humans in different kinds of ways. If people will live there also, maybe, I don't know. I don't have the full picture. But wherever we're going, we have to learn to coexist in order to survive, and also in order for everyone to be in their essence and live from that place. Not that I have to fill all the functions in my life and be stressed out at 40. Like, no. So I think that's where we're going towards, but I don't think in those terms of building that yet. Maybe I will, who knows?
You said recently that we as humans, we don't have so much time. What do you mean with that?
Well, depends on how you look at it. For a lot of people, it's already too late in this lifetime. They're stuck in suffering from different reasons. Maybe some people created their own suffering. Some are stuck in Gaza and experiencing genocide, or in Congo, or for many people, it's already too late in this lifetime. So the question is, where do we want to go? What do we want to create for real? Like we were talking about, let's learn history in school so we don't repeat the history, but we are. And its corruption is just in a new way. The warfare is in a new way. And how we're not being taught to think for ourselves, how we're not being taught to feel for ourselves. We are taught to follow someone else. We're not taught to follow our own intuition and creation. And I think I have a very strong dramatic expression, but I also have a very strong hope for the future, but it requires us to do something. In the spiritual field, I see a lot of people going into personal development and healing, and then staying there. I have to protect my peaceful bubble. I finally got peace for myself, and I have to protect it. Nothing can come and bother me now because I deserve my peace. But the question is, what are you going to do with the love that you created for yourself? What are you going to do with the strength and resilience that you created for yourself? I hope that you're going to contribute to this world, because there are people that will not be able to create peace for themselves. And why are you here if you're not contributing for something good? Like it's so, we have an American spiritual teacher. Her name is Marianne Williamson. She was teaching from a book called A Course in Miracles. It's a very complicated book. Like I can't read it. It's so heavy. But the messaging is so good and valuable. And she has inspiring a lot of the American spiritual teachers that are that maybe I saw more finding my way. And now she's running for president in the States, because she has been advising presidents. She has been doing a lot from a spiritual growth point of view, caring for the community, elevating consciousness and all of these things. But it's actually not enough. We also have to participate in the world that is ugly in order to change it. And she is a beautiful example of that, of building power, love, and resilience and grace so that you can actually be a change for good. And if she would win the election, I mean, that would be historical. I don't think she will, but it would be amazing. But just the fact that she's taking up the space, I think it's important for us in our spiritual journey also to see, like, yeah, we are not born in this society to meditate in a cave. Take a vacation in the cave. Do it because it's nice. But then come back and contribute and be a voice. Take your break and sustain yourself so you don't burn out. I could burn out of anger. So I have to take care of myself, and I have to be mindful, and I have to learn to navigate my fire for the injustice with caring for myself and like my children, and then being the voice and inspire others. But we have to. That's my 100% belief.
Yeah. Can you get information through the horses about the future on global level or individual level? Is it something that you're practicing?
So Emily asked the horses, why are you helping us? And she went to a herd of, if I remember correctly, it's called Przewalski horses. It's a breed that has been untouched for many years. So they have more connection to like their wisdom. And she asked them, why are you helping us? We are not treating you well. You are way stronger than us. You don't have to obey the stupid human hitting you. Like, what is going on? And then they showed her an image of humans hunting. Like this is, I don't know, caveman ages. Human hunting. And the hunting went on to chase the horses down the hill so that they will fall down and die, and there you would take the meat. And at some point, the horses decided that, well, if we will continue to run from the humans, we will not have a future. So instead of running away, they turned around to participate and to help us. Because what they also say that I think is a very beautiful thing, especially for me to remember, that I get like very passionate about, we have to change the world now, is that humans is a very young species. If we compare with trees, grass, mountains, animals, we are a young species. So as a species, we have a lot to learn. So the horses decided to be with us, to help us elevate our consciousness. Actually, there is something called the Heart Math Institute, and they are working with scientifically measuring the energy field from the heart. And it's such an interesting thing. And what they see is the horse's heart field are large, enormous. So what happens when you're close to a horse is that either your fears will get triggered because it's a huge animal, and that's understandable, or you will feel so relaxed and so safe. So if you don't have a fear block for the first encounter, you will feel good because their heart energy is so expanded. So it's really their choice to be with us, to help us evolve. But then along the line, a lot of horses obviously forgot that, because as a domestic animal to live with humans, they are not supported by their healthy community. So it's not super easy for even cats, dogs, horses to live with us and stay healthy because we're doing our best, but it's not good.
It says that energy depends. It says that money depends on energy. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so when people come across teachings like law of attraction, they learn that your thoughts and emotions attract your life, basically. And it's a very general explanation. It's a first basic introduction, let's say it like that. And there's a lot of truth to it, but it's so easy to get confused and go into self-blame if we only take that concept as the whole truth, because it's more complex than that. So I've been working as a debt advisor for almost 6 years or more. And I met hundreds of people every year. So obviously I have been observing the language and the emotion of people in financial crisis. And it doesn't matter where they come from. Like, are they born in Sweden or in the Middle East or Africa or Europe? I haven't met Americans in this field, but South Americans I've met, yeah. So it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter if you have low education, or I've met people that had great businesses and had a political career. And then at some point, they all ended up in my room. And maybe it was a disease, a divorce, or unemployment, or fraud, or just bad decisions that brought them to my place. Still, so many words are the same in these people. So many emotional experiences are the same in these people. And that is... the emotions and the words are an expression of your vibration, of your energy. So that's something to truly observe and get to know and be curious on. And also, as we listen to me share my perspectives on this, we're also going to be cautious that I'm speaking from my limited point of view, and also from the journey, like 6 years in this field, I'm still a beginner. There's still so much to learn. So we have to take that in mind and be curious. And so what I see is that the majority of these people prioritize someone else in front of themselves. And that is a very important piece. If everyone else is more important than me, that everyone else's needs are more important than me, where does my value live? That is such an important piece. It will be seen in the actions we take. That, for instance, for me, when I was a teenager, I had a monthly pocket money to use. And I grew up with my mother that was alone with 5 kids. But all my friends basically had 2 parents and good finances. And I would still pay for them. Because if they said, I have no money, I said, let's share mine.
Yeah.
But they had money. But I took responsibility for someone else, and I didn't have the idea that I could save or prioritize myself. And it wasn't only seen in how I used my money, it was seen in so many other areas of my life as well. But when it comes to money, it's so real because numbers don't lie. Either you have them or you don't. Either you feel good with them or you don't. So it's a very good tool to use when you grow your self-awareness around your value. So if you carry shame in your body, maybe because of a trauma, maybe because you were bullied, maybe because the parents said something, maybe because the parents felt shame, so you grew up in the energy of shame, that will reflect in your money. If you carry guilt, that will reflect in your money. So it doesn't mean necessarily if I carry these emotions, I will not be rich. Or if I carry these emotions, I will necessarily be poor. It's not really what it means. But the question is, are you being true to yourself in how you want to live your life? And then, do you have the money that supports it? So that's the important question. Some people want to have a lot of materialistic things, like that's their spiritual path. And for some people, it's the opposite. And for some people, it's something in between. So if you can stay true to yourself and get to know yourself and your values, then you will attract the money that supports that life. If you're not true to yourself, it doesn't matter with or without money, you will not feel good. Spiritual teachings in law of attraction, they say, follow your passion or say what you need and universe has your back. But if you don't know what you need, universe cannot have your back. And if you don't think you're worthy of the life that you want, universe will not give you a life that you want because it will reflect what you think you're worthy of. And for me, this was really confusing for many years because I saw myself as someone that valued myself. I was not talking negatively about my body. I was not talking negatively I never complained about myself. Never. And I saw my friends do it, but having better relationships than me. And I couldn't understand what it was. And then one moment, I had a light bulb moment. They were okay with them not being perfect. They were okay with complaining about parts of themselves. They were okay about being insecure. They were okay with other people helping them, stepping in. Then they're also okay with universe helping them and stepping in. I was super independent. And I was perfect. And if I would admit a weakness, it would be such a big failure that I couldn't even see my own weaknesses. So it's not about being in a high vibration all the time and being in love and joy and good vibes only. Yeah. It's about being true to yourself in the journey where you're at and finding acceptance. And also then the acceptance of desiring a life that is from your heart, not from society, not from parents, not from what is it that you want. And it can also be a huge crisis to understand that you're not true to yourself, to understand that maybe you don't even know. If I don't know, how will I ever find out? By trial and error. Go out and try things and get your insights from your own contrast. But yes, how you feel about yourself will reflect in your money. Because also, when you feel good about your needs, desires, and your money, you will behave in a way that supports it all. When you have trauma around money, it will I was actually on Swedish TV very recently talking about this thing. They asked me, what is financial stress? And I said, financial stress is something that we all have all the time. The problem is that we don't talk about it, so we don't identify it. What we do is that we think this is how it is with money. Or we make an identity, this is how I am around money, instead of seeing that this is a trauma that I carry with me and I can heal it. And then when I'm not burdened with this trauma, I will behave different. So why do I not stay with my budget plan? Because I have a trauma that knocks on the door. Why do I not earn the money that I want to earn or take the pricing that I want to? Like my beautiful community members are so afraid of putting a price on their offerings because what if someone won't agree with it? What if someone won't like it? The question is not, what do I want to get from offering this to the world? So there's so much to explore in the relationship to money. And absolutely, the more self-acceptance and love and self-value you have, the easier it will be around money.
But this is a long path, I guess, to reach.
Depends on where you start, though.
Yeah. But even some practical recommendation. I mean, I have read somewhere in the book or maybe on social media that to increase your energy, you should avoid I don't know, bad products when it comes to nutrition, alcohol. I don't know, spending a lot of time on social media and so on. How do you see on that?
That's a very good perspective because I do think that we tend to drink too much and eat too much and eat the wrong things to numb our emotions. I remember one time I was 20 something. I was a student on the university and I worked extra at the gas station. And I would, when I went home from my work, I would always, not always, but very often have candy that I was eating in the car and even smoke a cigarette in the car to get home. And then maybe I would eat something little before I fell asleep. And then one time, at 12 o'clock in the night, and then one time I was eating, watching TV, and I saw a documentary about people eating to numbing their emotions. And I was like, oh shit, maybe that's me. So I decided, okay, let's see what happens if I eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, nothing in between. Let's see what happens. And after 2 days, I had my first panic attack. I had not given myself the possibility to feel for years because I lived a life where everyone else mattered more than me. So yes, in order to know who you truly are and what you truly want and create that life and have universe helping you in creating that, it's not going to help you to numb your emotions with alcohol, other drugs, or food, or social media. And actually, I have this last 1.5 years, I have been on a super strict diet, and I'm not the one to live on a discipline where it comes from a hard place. It's very important for me to have it as a natural step. But I got really sick in my body in the beginning. 5th of June, 2023, I was staying in my bed for 24 hours, just breathing, hoping I didn't have to go to surgery, hoping that I would change and heal myself. And then because I knew myself that I will not force myself, I have to do it differently. So I called all the healers I knew and I booked so many sessions to get help with loving boundaries for myself so that I would eat from a place of love and to choose myself from a place of love. And being this sick, my mother stepped in and helped me with my children. And then she's also very alternative and spiritual. So she called a psychic friend and asked, why is this happening to my daughter? And and she said she will know in September. This is an initiation and she will know in September. And gradually what has happened that year is that my communication with spirit side has increased, and the guides are ever more present in guiding me because I have a huge desire to make a big change in this world. It doesn't have to be for everyone, absolutely not, but for the people I meet, I want it to be of a difference. And And it's so important to me, but I can't do it alone. And I'm limited with my human mind, so I need help. So the more I cleanse myself, the more I hear them, and the more I understand them. And now I'm so annoyed with them because they want me to meditate in silence, and I cannot even think about a more boring thing to do. But I trust them, and yeah, so it depends on what kind of life do you want to live, and why not make the most out of it. But really, truly, if it comes from a place of force and stress and punishment, I don't think it's going to be good for anyone. I still eat, like I had my takeaway coffee to this recording, and I had chocolate yesterday. I'm absolutely not perfect, but I'm doing way better as a fundament than I did before. And the practice is to choose from love. And sometimes choose from love is to enjoy that bakery thing that you love. So it's not about, I'm not, what do I know, really? I can only speak from my own experience, but I want to enjoy life.
Yeah.
I really want to enjoy life. I want to enjoy. So, yeah. But yeah, I think cutting out alcohol will help a lot.
Good. When it comes to the global situation, and if we are talking about spiritual growth, what we see right now, do you see that this is the same tendency in the whole world, or you can see that it's different between different countries or regions, continents?
I think it's very lucky for us that we have internet for this reason. I think Instagram has given me so much in regards to my spiritual growth, and YouTube, connecting me with different people and spiritual paths, and like the podcast that you're creating now is a part of it, right? So yes, I see people questioning their structures that they're in. I see people understanding that the way that we have created societies is not working. People are sicker, more tired, lack the feeling of, what's it called? A contribution or purpose. And we feel really good when we have that. And so last year I traveled to Portugal for an event actually with a Russian woman, and she shared her journey from being a top lawyer in Russia to going to India to meditate, and all the connections. Like, yes, it's from all different places from the world. People are striving for new ways of existing and living and finding their truth, with and without religion. And also I see people going back to the roots. Maybe they dropped out of a religion or a belief or a tradition that they were born into, but then coming back to it, but with maybe a new perspective. And this whole idea that people want more, I think it's very beautiful and very global. And also, if it's not on a spiritual level, people are asking for more rights and more freedom. And I think it's actually the same thing, but with different intentions, really. And that is very, very, very beautiful. And also, thanks to technology and all the communication, it's easier to identify corruption and see connections in between how... where the money flows, the power goes, or so we can see more issues in the structure, and we can question it, and therefore we can create a better world. So there is absolutely a lot of hope in it.
Yeah. Can you tell us about your teachers, or maybe persons which you are following on the social media right now?
I tend to vary myself a lot, so get a lot of inspirations from different people at different time. And that's also like the most beautiful thing with YouTube search or podcast search. I find my topic. So when money was the most important thing, I was searching for all the different people talking about money, and then I pick and choose what I liked. But to give a few names that can be helpful for someone else's quest as well. Again, I want to say Emily Kajsdotter, who wrote this book, All the King's Horses, because there's so much to it, so much to it. I love to listen to Abraham Hicks, which is a woman called Esther Hicks that is channeling a collective consciousness called Abraham. And I love her voice. She just soothes me with her voice. And then in moments of doubt, I searched for Abraham Hicks and gratitude. And then I listened to a tape where she's reminding me how gratitude feels like, so I can increase that vibration inside of me. And they have the perspective of law of attraction, which they have been elaborating on for many, 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 many years. So if you listen from the early tapes from the, I don't know if it's 80s or 90s, it will sound in one way. And now you will hear a more nuanced way of communicating the message. But that's something that I come back to. I love her. And there is a book. And so many of the teachings that are strengthening me are not necessarily spiritual, but it really helps my expansion. So there's one book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad that I loved. And what else do we have? There is a prayer and a mantra that gave me a lot in my deepest despair before I start to choose to practice to live for myself. And it came through Gabrielle Bernstein, and she said on a A-Fest talk, you can find the whole talk on YouTube, A-Fest, Gabrielle Bernstein, and she said, if you're feeling hopeless, go and help someone else. And that was so powerful for me. Instead of sitting in your room feeling that there's no power in me to change my life, go and see who can I help, where can I be of service. And that will elevate your life and bring new connections and bring you on a new path. And during the same speech, she shared a prayer from Yogi Bhajan, a Kundalini yoga teacher. And let me see how I've been praying all these years. Maybe it's not 100% correct in how he said it, but I devote the prayer to love. And so I ask love, where would you have me go? What would you have me say? No, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? So I would take a walk guided by this prayer and have beautiful encounters with strangers and just feel the grace of being guided by love in that way. And I take a lot of inspiration now recently, since 2 years or something, from Matthias De Stefano. Do you know him?
No.
Oh, you're in for a treasure. I don't know anyone who doesn't fall in love with him. I mean, he is such a treasure. He's from Argentina originally, and he remembers many of his past lives in a very detailed way. So he's from, I don't know if it was from age of 10 or something. It was very hard for him because he would remember relationships. He would remember his children from being a mother and then having to deal with the sorrow of not having them around now. So he had a really, really powerful and hard initiation in being a human. But he also remembers his life from the Atlantic period and has so many beautiful sharings on how we use our emotions and thoughts and prayers and the elements in order to create harmony. And he also, he has very, very interesting perspectives on what we can learn from that time, but how this time is different. It's not that we have to be like them because we're not in that time. Yeah. We're here, and what can we do? And he comes also in with a lot of playfulness into what he's saying. So it becomes, I love him. Any podcast with Matthias De Stefano is beautiful. And in some, he also shares lullabies. So he remembers the life so vividly from the Atlantic time that he remembers the language. So he can write it and speak it and sing it. And when he sings the lullabies, I'm going to find a specific episode when he does this that you can have in the show notes to this, so everyone who finds this can listen immediately. When you listen to the song, just experience your body in it. Because something happens. I haven't sent it to one person who didn't have a reaction. Some kind of memory in the cells that got awakened. And here again, the human mind tends to ask, so what am I going to do then when my cells are awakened? Nothing. You just enjoy. And but that is such a treasure. And if there's someone, I think it's very dangerous to idolize someone and then go to meet them, because you will be disappointed, because we're all human. So I also have this now, like my Instagram is not big, but I have people that are captivated by the stories and the experience that I have, and then they want to become my friend. But I'm not like this. This is my stories, and this is absolutely part of me. But I'm not more than anyone else, or so. So it's really. Elizabeth Gilbert, an author, she said, "Don't find your idols, because you will be disappointed." But if there's someone I would love to meet, it's him. And I'm prepared to be disappointed. But maybe for a retreat or a teaching or something, when I'm not going to talk too much about him, but I have to say still, in like the terms of magic, and that we don't know anything, we're a young species and we have been controlled for so many years, we don't know what we're capable of. But here we have someone that remembers who he is, or parts of it at least, and has a closer connection to the vibrational power of universe, let's say it like that. He takes people to retreats in Egypt, to the desert. And everyone brings clothing to protect themselves from the water that he's going to bring in. He comes with rain every time. He has the ceremonies to make it rain so much that everyone needs to protect their clothes in the desert. And he is a human.
Incredible.
It's incredible. So I really think it humbles us, is that so much, because also in this personal growth field, I connect with women and they ask me questions like, why do I don't have this money? Why am I not attracting a better husband or a life or whatever? And I say, because there's more potential for your heart to grow. There's more potential for you to feel love. It's more potential for you to feel free. And they say, but I already do. And I said, yes, compared to before, you're doing amazing. But compared to what's possible, you're not even close. And isn't that exciting?
Yeah.
So really bringing the excitement of the journey. And speaking of the teachers, one big practice that I have is to learn from every encounter. To not only look at people with great marketing skills that have their team to put them on YouTube or whatever, but when you meet someone, what do they come with? And either it's a lesson that you can be inspired to be more similar, or be the opposite, or have more compassion. You can practice your own compassion. Like every encounter has that opportunity. And if you bring it back to that basic, you don't have to collect money to go on retreats to have great experiences, because life can be your teacher. If you take a walk and ask yourself, okay, how can each step during this walk be a prayer? What happens then? Maybe you will feel frustration and restlessness, or I don't know. But what happens if you continue to live your life as a prayer? Then life is your biggest teacher. So I love to be influenced by all. My latest exploration this last year is Tantra. What is it? What has pleasure and my body to teach me? What healing resides in my body? So there's always more to learn from philosophers and philosophies and books and people, but bring it back to you. And if you have all the answers inside of you, what is your experience in this moment that you want to be guided on forward? And to practice that faith in yourself and practice that I respect my boundaries. I respect my timeline. I respect my maturity level. I respect where I'm at in history with everything that I come with, because then we also can save ourselves from judgment that can happen in comparison and all of these things. So I think that's a great summary of some of the teachings and teachers.
Yeah, very. Nadia, do you have children?
Yes. Thanks God, I have children. 2 boys, 9 and 11.
Okay. And I'm interested in how you teach them what you know. I mean, the information which they get from the school, it's a little bit different from your knowledge, and how you introduce this knowledge to them on the healthy way, say.
Yeah. So first of all, it's thanks to them I got dedicated in the first place to take care of myself. Because when you come from a place with very low self-value, it's so hard to find the motivation to change. But 2014, my Adrian, my oldest one, he was 2, and Angelo was in the belly, and I was alone. So I was thinking, if they're going to remember me as a happy mom, I have to change, and I have to change now. And I didn't really know how to do it, but just if you make the decision again and again and again, life will show you the way, right? So my philosophy in terms of parenting, and with all my spiritual beliefs and curiosity, is first and foremost to be the role model. If I see them behave in a way that I don't appreciate, I ask myself, where am I the same? Where am I the same? On some level, they got this from me because they are learning life through me first and foremost. Then obviously they have influences by their dad and people around them, but I have the most power to affect myself. So that's where I have to start. Where am I the same? And then what is my values as a human being and as a person? It's freedom, it's love, it's forgiveness, and it's joy. So for me, it was very important to, no matter like how little money we had, and no matter that their dad was not around in the beginning or very sick later on, this moment that we have right now and again, how can we bring in joy and love right here, right now? It doesn't mean that they have to be happy all the time. Absolutely not. I want them to self-express. That was my biggest journey, to learn to connect with my emotions again and express them. I don't want to take that away from them. They already know how to do it. So how can I facilitate the opportunity for them to feel the range of emotions that they have naturally as children? And at the same time, lead with love and remind them of love and remind them of their own power. It's a very delicate way to go. So we don't tell the children like, oh, you have to be positive all the time. Law of attraction wants you to be happy. Like, no, self-acceptance. And I mean, they see my crystals, they see my incense, they see my rituals, they see me meditate in yoga. Even like, I remember Adrian being 5, he looked at me one day and he said, Mom, it looks like you need some yoga right now. So, just be yourself in your practice, and the kids will see that you need this to feel good. And then in periods, they will yoga with me, and in periods, they won't. In periods, they will meditate and play with the crystals with me. In periods, they won't. And we had a moment recently. I have different tarot card decks, and one of my kids, the youngest one, he really appreciated one of them because it's all animals. And he has loved to play with this animal card deck for years, but he played in his own way, and I never told him what's right and what's wrong. I let him just be with these cards. And he was having trouble with his physical body, and he was getting, one thing I have to take it easy in is also allowing the kids to have problems. I am a very practical, let's fix this. Okay, we're taking this body work or this alternative medicine, and I have to take it easy, but it's so hard. But so I was trying to navigate this. He's in pain and he needs help, but it's also a time process and his own journey, and I can't take that away from him. So I was navigating this both ways. And then he pulls a card for his own health because I was pulling a card for me. And he said, okay, well, let's pull a card for my health. And he takes out Snake Spirit and it says it's time to heal. And I don't say anything. I don't put stories in his head on how to relate to that. But the day after, he has a huge release in his body. And he tells me, wow, Snake Spirit was right. So I just want it to be playful. I want it to be accessible, but I want them to choose. It's very narcissistic of me to think that just because I had so much help and release through these practices, that it's the best for everyone and for them. They are the new generation, and hopefully they will have way more to bring to the table than I will ever have. But that will only be possible if I facilitate the option for them to choose for themselves. So they have times when they come home inspired from a friend from school and say, yeah, I'm a Christian now. And I say, okay, babe, do you want to talk about God? No. Okay. And then at times when they say, I'm not sure I believe in this spiritual stuff. And then I have to laugh a little bit because I don't know, more spiritual kids, like they're so influenced by their mom. They can't help it. So in comparison to others, they're so spiritual. But how do they identify themselves? That's up to them. So, yeah, finding love and really embracing the quantity time. It doesn't have to be special events. I think that's a very spiritual practice as well. Because as parents, we're like, oh, I need to buy everything for my children. They have to have the best experiences. They have to have the best of this and this and this. No, but we can really enjoy what we have. That's a spiritual practice too.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was last question. So I would like to thank you for sharing your journey and sharing about your community. So I wish you all the best with
Thank
the
you
community
so much.
and growing. Yeah,
Thank you so much
I
for
hope we
having me.
see each other next time as well.
Thank you.